Hey guys, so as you know, I am participating in a 6-week Trader v Trader challenge in collaboration with Stake. And this is pitting me against Anna over at Panda Boss. And essentially what we're doing is over a 6-week period, we'll be investing into different sectors of the US stock market. So she's chosen renewable energy, I have chosen the tech sector. And the idea is that whoever has the best returns over 6 weeks essentially takes the entire pot. So there are some stakes in this for us both. We are 2 weeks in currently, and this is going to be our first performance update. But alongside giving you guys a performance update, I'm also going to be showing you through some functions within the Stake app that I've used to help me whittle down 25 stocks down to 15 stocks that have ended up in the final portfolio that I've invested in. So this video is going to be pretty interesting, just taking you through Stake and some of the features, but also highlighting where we are with the tech stocks at the moment, because for the last couple of weeks have been a bit of a bloodbath. So as you guys probably know from watching the channel, I am very much a long-term investor. I don't typically invest over a 6-week period. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to partake in this, is because actually it's going to mean that I have to take a different approach and think about things differently. With that being said though, the markets have been very, very volatile, and it's been interesting to say the least. I mean, I've got 15 stocks in my portfolio. Just yesterday, 13 of them were down, only 2 were up. And today, I think I'm up just a little bit. But in this video, I'm going to be taking you through where we are right now and taking you through some of the features in Stake. So if you've not used Stake just yet, you can use the link down in the comment section below. It's going to be pinned there. You will get a free share if you sign up to them. It will be a free share of either GoPro, Nike, or Dropbox. But you have to fund your account with £50 in order to get that free share. So with Nike, just thinking about it this way, I say Nike and Nike sometimes, they're the same company. But with Nike, they're trading at about $130 a share. So if you fund 50 quid, you've got a 1 in 3 chance of doubling your money and some. So not a bad deal. But let's talk about where we are in terms of the portfolio and some of the key things that I've used in doing my research to help me narrow down those 25 stocks down to 15. All right, okay, so this is the portfolio at the moment, and literally I said a moment ago that I was up. Actually, I'm down, and this is how quickly markets tend to move. So at the moment, I'm down 1.37%, and I have 3 stocks now up, whereas before I had, I think I had 2 stocks down. So this has moved massively. So currently, this is where I am, 1.24. This is going to bubble up and down because obviously the American market is still open whilst I'm making this video. But what I do want to do is I want to highlight some of the features that I've used to essentially help me do this research. So this is the portfolio. So now I've got Apple in there, I've got ADSK, I'm at AMD, I've got CRISPR, Google, Microsoft, Micron, Nvidia, Qualcomm, Roku, Tesla, XPeng, which ones I've got, Ant Systems, AMD. Yeah, that's the 15 stock portfolio that I have here. I'm just going to scroll through it again so you can see it. And the idea behind this was I wanted to have a little bit of stability. So I wanted to have people like Google in there, Microsoft, and Apple to give me a little bit of stability, although they're not really doing a great job at this point in time. But within Stake, there are some really cool features that they have that help you research your stocks. And if you watch my videos, you know that I always say that research is really key to make sure that when you're picking stocks, you're making an informed decision around, number 1, what does the company actually do? Number 2, what do the financials actually look like in terms of the numbers? And number 3, one of the things that I think that Stake do really, really well is aggregation of analyst ratings. And analyst ratings kind of just tell you how the big boys, the investors, the big institutional investors, I should say, think about a stock at any given time. And what I've tried to do with this portfolio is essentially pick companies that have a really good analyst rating as part of the fundamental things. The reason behind that is because, well, if the markets were to trail off where would these big institutional companies likely go to? What companies would they likely buy? I wanted to pick companies that, if anything were to happen, so the markets were to dip, these would likely be one of the first companies that the big institutions would be thinking about buying first. So let's just go into, I'm just going to use Apple as the prime example here, okay? So this is the first stock on the list. And when you go into the state cap, obviously you can see the graph right here, so you can see the performance. You can move around this thing, so you can have a look at what was happening on the day chart at any given time where the stock price is. Now, if you see this, look, I mean, what's that? At 1:05 p.m. this afternoon, the share price was at $134. I mean, look at this, $132. So it looks extreme, but it is a $2 drop essentially this afternoon in Apple. Slightly up at the moment, but not by that much. So quite a bit of volatility. This is what we're talking about. So you can see this. You can also zoom out. So weekly, get to have a look at the week picture, yearly picture. I like to zoom out a little bit further so I can see where we are, then work my way inwards. You can actually change this to candlesticks if you wanted to as well. So if you prefer looking at things from a candlestick point of view, this will give you a better view. And when you're looking at it from a day-to-day point of view in candlesticks, you can see, well, actually today has been a really bad day. I mean, this afternoon has been a bad day for Apple. And these kind of things are the things that you could look at to try and understand whether there's any momentum in the stock or whether there's a trend forming within a stock. This is a pretty strong downward trend. The question will be, is there going to be a point where actually some people may say, actually, this is a good point for us to actually now buy back into Apple. If you go back out a week here, if you try to identify out, say a month actually, you know, it's been bumbling around here for a while. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this Apple stock. But you can have a look at candlesticks and you can just look at normal graphs. Now, within stake, you obviously got the buy and the sell. So when you click these buttons, you're able to sell your position or you're able to buy your position pretty much straight away. It gives you an idea of how many people are actually looking at this stock right now. So there have been 1,204 views. That is today. There's 882 people watching this stock right now, and there's been 10,053 trades for Apple specifically. Then you get into some of the share details. So within here, you've got the share price currently. You've got the day returns if you've already got holdings. So at the moment on my day returns, I'm actually down 0.25%. Then you've got the usual information that you would expect, which is, you know, the opening, the high, the low. Then you've got the 52-week high and the 52-week low as well. You've got the market cap, and then you've got the PE ratio as well. Now, the PE ratio is an important number for you to bear in mind. Obviously, the PE ratios for companies will differ depending on a number of factors: the sector that they're in, how tight and how good they are at controlling their own finances. So how much does it cost them to sell their product? How much are they spending in marketing, in developing? All this kind of stuff goes into their PE ratio. Ideally, you want a company with a really high PE ratio, but that is sector dependent a lot of the time. It depends whether the company has a strategic advantage over its competitors, and it also depends on a number of other factors as well. So within this, you've got all of that snapshot right there, which is great. Then you've got, if you click the more here, you've got a bit more information about Apple. So what do they actually do? This is fundamental stuff. Apple is a worldwide known company. So everybody knows that they produce the phones that I'm actually filming this on right now. Macs, AirPods, iPads. They are a big global company. Then here, which is really, really good, you also have some news, which will be relevant news as well, which is important. But I do want to have a look at the analyst rating, because this is one of the things that I give Stake a really big thumbs up for. And a lot of other apps don't actually have this available within them. And I'm just going to explain why this is important. So part of what I've done during my career is I've actually been able to work for a number of investment houses. I've worked for discretionary fund managers. I've worked with investment managers, people who actually professionally manage people's money on their behalf. Now, when people are managing money from an institutional level, often what they'll do is they will have research that comes down every single morning. And investment managers will sit down with that research and they will decide whether they change a portfolio, whether they sell a stock, or whether they buy a new one because there's an opportunity that has come up, is now favorable or seen as good value on any particular day. This information comes down every single day. So this is a daily exercise that investment managers would go through. What you're seeing here in analyst ratings is something similar. So essentially, it's an aggregate of analyst research and information pertinent to this specific company, this specific stock. So for Apple specifically. And this is aggregated from a number of research firms, a number of analyst firms, and basically put into the app in the form that you see it right now. And what you're looking at here is essentially three sentiments. So is it a buy, is it a sell, or is it a hold? Now, this isn't the end all and be all of any of the research that you should be doing. This should form part of the research that you do. But what this is essentially telling you is the likes of Morgan Stanley, who are an institutional investor, who are likely going to invest in Apple if they were, large sums of money that could potentially move the dial on the share price because they'll be investing a big whack of money. We're talking maybe 100 million, 150 million a time, 50 million, 20 million a time. Those kind of volumes and that quantity of shares that they purchase could potentially move the dial in terms of the share price. So when you're looking at this here, what I tend to look at is, right, what's the sentiment? Is the sentiment a buy? Is it a sell? Or is it a hold? Now, if it's a buy, what it's basically saying is that the investment houses, so in this instance, Morgan Stanley, UBS, and Evercore ISI Group, basically think that this is a good stock to buy at this point in time, which means that if they're not invested right now, if an opportunity arises, they will likely have this on a list of their, well, will be on their shopping list essentially. And for me, the analyst ratings, knowing what the big investment houses are thinking is absolutely key to whether I think a stock is actually worthwhile buying. Again, it's not everything that you should be considering, but it is a proponent of what you should be considering. Now, if the sentiment is a sell, that basically means that the big investment houses think that actually it's worthwhile cashing in any profits that you might have had and, you know, just getting out of the position. If it is a hold, they're basically saying, we think it's actually probably priced about right. Don't do anything right now. Now, it's really important to understand that obviously when you're investing your own money. So you have to have conviction around your decision. You have to be comfortable with your decision. And what I would say is that, you know, when you're looking at these ratings, try and do some further research to see if your opinion matches up with the sentiment about a particular stock. Because sometimes you may take a contrarian view and say, actually, you know what? They think it's a sell or a hold, but actually I'm going to buy it anyway because you've done some research that you feel justifies your decision. Now, this is updated on a daily basis within Stake. Now, typically, analyst ratings will be changed every 3 months or updated every 3 months or almost every quarter. However, if anything were to change within that quarter, because this is updated within Stake on a daily basis, you will see that the rating will change as well. So ratings are really, really important. So in this example, you've got Morgan Stanley, UBS, and you've got Evercore. If we went through all of the 15 stocks that I hold, you will see that the analyst ratings will be based on different company sentiments. So it may be Barclays on one of them. It may be JP Morgan on another. So you'll have different ratings because this information is correlated from a number of sources. So you're seeing what the analyst rating is. Now, what I do want to do is I do want to have a look at price targets. So what this essentially does is it gives you an idea of, in this instance of Morgan Stanley, what price target do they think Apple should be at? So currently, Apple is at $133.09. They think that the share price, their target for the share price is $158. And this has recently been raised from $157. You can see that right there. Now, if you were to go down, you can also see what that is for UBS. So UBS, it's $142. So it tells you that actually it's 6.69% from the current price. So if you're looking to invest in this and you're taking this into consideration and you believe that their rating is correct and you believe that the information that they're basing this on is correct because they're a big institution and they do have access to a lot of information from research that maybe you as a retail investor won't have access to, then that gives you an idea of, okay, maybe there's a 6.67% gain potentially to be had here. So it allows you to make a bit of an informed decision around potential profits when you're actually looking to buy this share as well. If you go down, actually, we need to go back up. So that's Morgan Stanley. Evercore, actually, they think their price target for Apple is $175. So that's 31.49% from where it currently is. So again, what you might do is you might take a look at all of these three and take an average of that, of the share, of the price targets and the ranges to meet that price target, and use that in your decision as to whether you buy a particular stock. This is really, really rich data, guys. And I have to stress that when you're looking at this, bear in mind, obviously, it's not the only thing you need to be looking at, but trust me when I say that UBS and Morgan Stanley and all of those guys, they are basing their price targets on information, based on research, based on analysts, real dissection of a business to be able to come out with that price target. And if you have confidence that they're good at what they have, what they do, and they have been historically, then this is a really good tool for you to use as part of your research. I'm just going to come back out of this, but one other thing that they have within Stake as well, which is great, is they have the financials. Now, all of these features that I've mentioned here are part of the Black account with Stake. So you don't get it as part of your standard account. You've got to pay $9.99, I believe it is, a month for this. But again, if you're looking to buy stocks and you're trying to take it seriously, it might be worth the investment to actually have access to this. So they do have financials in here. You can look at the full financials, but at the very, very top, you can have a look at their earnings. Again, looking at it from a revenue point of view and an EBITDA. EBITDA is essentially earnings before income tax, depreciation, and amortization. So that is, it's a good measure in terms of what their net profits essentially are, or net revenues essentially are. So you've got the revenue bar there, and you've got the EBITDA there, and it just gives you an idea of where they are. So typically, EBITDA will always be less than revenue, because that will factor in things like equipment, plant, research, cost of sales, or cost of doing business. In other words, it will take into account all of those factors in the calculation. And you can dig more into this when we get into things like the balance sheet and cash flows and so on and so forth. So you've got earnings per share here, so you can see where they are in terms of earnings per share. The black one is the current year, the gray one is the previous year. So in instance of, if you're looking at Apple and you're looking at let me just go back here, Q1 2020/2021, actually the earnings per share is actually up from previous years. Which is great, and it's a good indicator. You can go into full financials, and this will give you a full breakdown of their operating income. So if we just have a quick look at this, what we'll find is, if you're looking at, let me just go onto the balance sheet quickly. Actually, let's start with the assets. So ideally, what you want to see is you want to see increase in assets in the financial accounts. And this isn't going to be a video we're going to talk about financial accounts specifically, but just give you a bit of a flavor of some of the things that you do find in here to help you. Ideally, what you want is you want to be able to see that the assets are increasing over a period of time. So in this example, if you just go backwards, you can go back to, let's go to Q1 2020. So you're looking at 340. This will be in the billions, by the way, all the way up to 54 billion in assets. Assets are things that the company owns, like things that they could, if they wanted to, liquidate to cash. This is a big indicator of how strong a company is from a financial point of view. So we can see that the assets are increasing, which is great. The other thing that it shows on here is essentially liabilities. Liabilities are debts, things that they owe. And again, with this, ideally you want to see that it's going down. But with most businesses, especially if they're spending money on R&D, you might see that they're invested money into the business. So you'll see that liabilities will essentially go up. So in this example, we go back to Q1, which I believe is there, their liabilities have gone from 251 billion up to 287 billion roughly. Now, when you're looking at this again, you need to understand how you're going to analyze these numbers, what they actually all mean. But you have this available in the Stake account that you can look at all in one place. Now, these are just a couple of things that I've had a look at. We can have a look at cash flow, but there isn't really enough time for this specific video. But there are a lot of tools in here that have helped me narrow down. What I try to do is have a look at companies with really strong financials, with a really strong analyst rating, to try and get me to the portfolio that I currently hold right now, albeit that it's been very, very volatile and it's actually down at this point in time. Let's actually just go back up. So This is updated right now, and I'm 1%, 1.01% down right now. So my approach for this, because this is a 2-week check-in and we're going to have another one in a couple of weeks' time, is that I may need to actually review some of this, because we're only in this now for the next 4 weeks. We've got 4 weeks to go. And with it being a competition, I need to ask myself now whether I'm going to hold these or what I'm going to get out of some of these. It's a tough call. I'm not really too sure at this point in time. I need to spend a little bit of time thinking about what the new strategy might be, who I might replace these stocks with, and do maybe a little bit of research, go back to my original list and maybe do some comparison around some companies that didn't make it into this list and see if they would make any difference essentially to it. But the thing is that when you're trading, especially because you're looking at the markets, you don't know what's going to happen with the markets. The markets are unpredictable. They are volatile. If you're investing over a longer period of time, this isn't going to be an issue because this is a momentary blip in the road. If you're investing for a 6-week period, you're looking to scalp, for example, then you need to do more research. In my case, I'm not looking to do any stop losses or profit taking or anything like that because I don't have the time to do it. I've got too much going on during the day to be able to do that. So it will be interesting to see where we end up at the end of this challenge effectively. But over the next week or so, I will be looking at this to see if I need to move things around or not. I will keep you guys posted. I'll probably do a live stream, I would imagine, at some point in the middle of next week. But tech has been volatile. It's been an absolute bloodbath. But guys, let me know what you thought of this video. This is just an update on a challenge. It's going to be really, really interesting to see where we actually end up. If you've not used Stake, definitely go check out Stake. Some of the tools here, if you're doing your research for your stocks, are really, really good, especially with the professional grade analyst ratings that you're getting from some really rich sort of sources, professional sources I must add as well. It may be worthwhile you just trialing it out. But like I said, if you do download the app, you will get a share in either Dropbox, GoPro, or Nike. If you do get a Nike share, then you potentially have a chance to double your money, 1 in 3 chance to double your money. But guys, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching this. It is Friday. I hope you have an amazing weekend. I will probably do a live stream on Sunday, I believe. I think I will do a live stream on Sunday. Am I? Yeah, I will. Catch you later on. Have a good weekend. And remember, guys, money is a tool, life is for living. Bye.